Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
No matter how Qi Ming and the others thought, Duan Ling Tian had indeed killed the 5th level void prying stage first leader of the bandits. Although the process was bizarre, they were unable to discern that Duan Ling Tian had used an external source of strength. Once the bandits' first leader perished, the remaining bandits were only strays that were scattered all about, and they were unable to cause any more trouble. In next to no time, the mission this time was officially brought to a successful close. The group of students once again gathered outside Blackwind Ridge and prepared to return to the Dragon and Phoenix Academy in the Imperial City. Where are Lu Yu and the others from the Azure Forest Trisect? Before long, some students noticed that some people were missing. Amongst the people present, besides the few disciples from the Azure Forest Trisect, everyone had arrived. It's true, Lu Yu and the others have gone missing. Many students exclaimed in surprise. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised, and he imperceptibly met gazes with Qi Ming. You were responsible for recording the score of Lu Yu's group. What's going on? Qi Ming looked at a middle-aged man in black clothes and asked in a low voice. The black-clothed middle-aged man sighed. Vice Dean, early this morning, those Azure Forest Trisect disciples didn't heed my advice and wandered arbitrarily in Blackwind Ridge. I didn't follow after them. Qi Ming frowned, then said with a low voice, You and a few more people go look for them again. Yes. A few black-clothed middle-aged men left together. These black-clothed middle-aged men were the people that followed behind the group of students into Blackwind Ridge and were responsible to record the mission results of the students. Let's return first. Under Qi Ming's lead, Duan Ling Tian and the other left Blackwind Ridge and headed towards the Imperial City. All along the way, Duan Ling Tian could notice the gazes that frequently descended onto him. Besides the Vice Dean, Qi Ming, the owners of these gazes was Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master, Flame Young Master, and Flute Fairy. Especially that Flute Fairy, Ziyan, looked at him with a slightly complicated gaze. Duan Ling Tian was able to guess that perhaps Flute Fairy already knew about the matter of him killing the first leader of the bandits. Duan Ling Tian wasn't wrong. Flute Fairy did indeed already know of this matter, and it was Flame Young Master that told her via voice transmission. His demonic technique is actually able to help him kill the 5th leader of the bandits that's at the 5th level of the void prying stage. Flute Fairy's heart trembled as her beautiful face slightly went grim. Although she wasn't the only one in the academy that agreed that Duan Ling Tian knew demonic techniques anymore, she was instead unable to feel happy. The stronger Duan Ling Tian's strength was, it would mean the more danger her brother, Zither Young Master, was in. After all, her brother's goal was precisely to overcome Duan Ling Tian's demonic technique and defeat Duan Ling Tian. Whereas now, Duan Ling Tian was actually even able to kill a 5th level void prying stage martial artist, and her heart was filled with worry towards her brother, Zither Young Master. Blackwind Ridge wasn't far from the Imperial City, and Duan Ling Tian and the others quickly returned to the Imperial City and to Dragon and Phoenix Academy. At the center square of Dragon and Phoenix Academy, besides the students from the Azure Forest Trisect, all the other students were gathered here. Whereas now, the Vice Dean, Qi Ming, stood before everyone, and he held a small book in his hand. On it was the records of everyone's scores. Presently, besides Crazy Young Master, Sword Young Master, Flame Young Master, and Flute Fairy, everyone was looking at Qi Ming in anticipation. They wanted to know who exactly obtained the number 1 position in the experience mission this time. After all, the person that obtains the highest points during the experience mission this time would be able to obtain a void refining fruit. I wonder which void prying stage student obtained the number 1 position. At any rate, it surely isn't Chai Jin. You've heard of the incident with Chai Jin as well. Of course, I'm afraid amongst the people present now, there's probably only a few people that don't know Chai Jin mistakenly entered into a bandit lair and almost died at the hands of the bandits' 5th leader. Chai Jin is really unfortunate. Almost 100 points are gone with the wind just like this. Many outer hall students discussed animatedly. Chai Jin stood in the ranks of the inner hall students. As he listened to these irritating whispers of discussion, It caused him to be angered to the point his figure trembled, and his expression as unsightly to the extreme. At this moment, he felt too ashamed to show his face. As a void-prying stage inner hall student, he'd obtained a 0 in the experience mission this time, and he was bound to become a joke. Everyone did well this time, besides some people that didn't heed advice and wandered arbitrarily in Blackwind Ridge. Qi Ming spoke slowly, and an expression of rage appeared on his face as he finished speaking. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but laugh to himself when he saw this scene. If that Lu Yu and the others were to hear Qi Ming's words now, then even if they were on the path to hell, they would probably be enraged to the point their lungs exploded, right? Calm your anger, Vice Dean Qi. There's no need to be angry for the sake of a few people that don't abide by the rules. Many students persuaded Qi Ming. Qi Ming's gloomy expression gradually eased up, and this caused Duan Ling Tian to be unable to refrain from sighing with emotion. This Vice Dean Qi really knows how to act. Just from the surface, one can't perceive a single flaw. If he wasn't a concerned party, perhaps he would be deceived. The person that obtained the #1 rank in the experience mission this time has already been decided. Qi Ming spoke once more, and he stopped at the critical moment, successfully attracting the gazes of everyone. The person whose points is the highest obtained 736 points. It's precisely the inner hall student, Duan Ling Tian. Qi Ming announced in one go. Instantly, the gazes of everyone, including Crazy Young Master and the others who were mentally prepared since long ago, had descended onto Duan Ling Tian. 736 points. Number 1. Duan Ling Tian had become the center of attention as expected. 736 points. Duan Ling Tian is really abnormal. Yeah, I and my small team worked together and used all-out energy, yet we only gathered 32 points. Moreover, it's team points. Duan Ling Tian instead obtained 736 points by himself. As expected of the matchless genius martial artist of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The sounds of praise rose and fell. The gazes of all the outer hall students were filled with reverence as they looked at Duan Ling Tian. Perhaps, if Duan Ling Tian was only slightly stronger to them, and they had the chance to chase after Duan Ling Tian, they would rouse feelings of envy within them. But Duan Ling Tian's current accomplishments were something they were too behind to catch up to. So they only had reverence when facing Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian's natural talent in the martial Dao had always been exceedingly monstrous. Once he consumes the void refining fruit this time, I wonder what extent his strength will attain. Yeah, at that time, on the stage of the Darkstone Empire, Duan Ling Tian might have the chance to head to the Darkhan Dynasty to obtain the qualifications to compete at the martial competition of the 10 dynasties. If he's really able to advance to the Darkhan Dynasty, then our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom would obtain great honor. At the same time that many Outer Hall students whispered in discussion, they had expressions of anticipation. As for the others, so long as you have points, you can head to the Swimming Dragon Hall tomorrow in exchange for cultivation methods, martial skills, medicinal pills, spirit weapons, etc. At that time, the points of every one of you will be displayed on the bulletin board at the door of the Swimming Dragon Hall. As Qi Ming finished speaking, he waved his hand. Disperse. The group of students dispersed, and for a time, only Duan Ling Tian and Qi Ming remained. Duan Ling Tian, I'll make a trip to the Imperial Palace to get the void refining fruit now. I'll pass it to you in the afternoon, said Qi Ming to Duan Ling Tian. Thank you, Vice Dean Qi. Duan Ling Tian nodded, then said, Vice Dean Qi, may I know what type of grade 4 spirit weapon you want? Grade 4 spirit weapon. Qi Ming's gaze blazed, and with a raise of his hand, a glove appeared in his hand. Grade 6 spirit weapon. With just a glance, Duan Ling Tian had recognized the grade of this spirit weapon glove. The glove was dark gray and made of special materials that were very extraordinary. If it's possible, I hope you can tell that weapons craftsman to refine a grade 4 spirit weapon for me according to this glove. Qi Ming passed the glove in his hand to Duan Ling Tian. All right, Duan Ling Tian nodded. In another few days, I'll go look for that weapons craftsman and see what materials he needs. Sorry for troubling you. Qi Ming smiled lightly, then bid his farewells before turning and leaving. When he left, Qi Ming's face revealed slight excitement. Although he was a revered elder of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family, he only had a grade 6 spirit weapon with an amplification of 38%. Presently, he had the opportunity to obtain a grade 4 spirit weapon that provided a 60% amplification, and it caused him to be wildly delighted. So long as he changed his spirit weapon, his strength would be able to improve by the strength of almost 2 ancient horned dragons. What sort of notion was that? After Qi Ming left, Duanling Tian returned to the inner hall. He'd only just entered into the inner hall when he noticed a burning gaze. It was precisely Flame Young Master, Duanling Tian. Suddenly, a sonorous voice sounded out by Duanling Tian's ears. Subsequently, Duanling Tian saw that Flame Young Master left his own courtyard and walked over, then looked at him. "I'm interested in that void refining fruit. State a price." Duanling Tian stopped his footsteps and raised his head to look at Zhang Yang before saying indifferently, "I'm extremely interested in the void refining fruit as well. If you're able to find one more for me, you can state any price." "You?" Zhang Yan's face sank and was slightly angry from embarrassment. "If you don't have anything else you need, then don't block my way." Duanling Tian's gaze seemed to have an extra sense of coldness. Zhang Yan's heart jerked. Only now did he remember the scene of Duanling Tian killing the first leader of the bandits at Blackwind Ridge this morning. This Duanling Tian was even able to kill a 5th-level void prying stage martial artist. At this moment, even though Zhang Yin was unwilling, he could only move aside. This morning, after the first leader of the bandits was killed by Duanling Tian, he knew that he was far from a match for Duanling Tian, even to the extent that Duanling Tian had already held back when fighting him the other time. Otherwise, once Duanling Tian executed that demonic technique, he would probably be completely crushed by Duanling Tian in a single move. Looks like Little Gold is really tired. After he returned to his room, Duanling Tian grabbed the little gold mouse that lay on his shoulder and lightly placed her on the table. "It was all thanks to Little Gold today. Otherwise, it would be impossible for me to kill the bandits' 5th leader. I truly never imagined that the first leader of the bandits was actually a 5th-level void prying stage martial artist." When he recalled the scene from this morning, Duanling Tian couldn't help but sigh. But it was fortunate that the first leader of the bandits wasn't an inscription master at the 1st level of the void initiation stage or above, or an ordinary martial artist at the 2nd level of the void initiation stage. After all, the little gold mouse's spiritual force was only at the 1st level of the void initiation stage now, and its limitations were extremely great. Afternoon that day, Qi Ming came over and passed the void refining fruit to Duanling Tian. The void refining fruit was completely milky white, crystalline, and translucent. With just a glance, it would cause one's mouth to drool with envy. Duanling Tian sat cross-legged on the bed. He consumed a void condensing pill after consuming the void refining fruit, and then he started cultivating. Along with the medicinal strength of the void condensing pill and void refining fruit fusing into his body, the origin energy in Duanling Tian's body started to strengthen endlessly. 9 dragons wore sovereign technique, lightning WIRM form. Duanling Tian circulated his mental cultivation method, and the origin energy in his body ceaselessly strengthened and improved, as if it never knew of exhaustion. In his cultivation, Duanling Tian forgot the time. Whereas Duanling Tian's cultivation was undergoing a tremendous change. It wasn't long before Duanling Tian's cultivation at the 1st level of the void prying stage had arrived at its extreme bottleneck, and then it broke through the bottleneck to step into the 2nd level of the void prying stage. After he broke through to the 2nd level of the void prying stage, the medicinal strength of the void condensing pill and void refining pill was still powerful, and they fused into Duanling Tian's origin energy to continue circulating with the lightning WRM method's mental cultivation method. After an unknown amount of time, Duanling Tian stopped cultivating when he felt the origin energy in his body had the feeling of being saturated. Haste doesn't bring success. At the same time, he was able to feel clearly that there was still a large amount of the medicinal strength of the void refining fruit remaining and was hidden within his dantian. whereas the medicinal strength of the void condensing pill was instead completely absorbed by him. Once I completely assimilate the medicinal strength of the void refining fruit, I ought to be able to break through to the third level of the void prying stage, or even higher in a short amount of time. Duan Ling Tian opened his eyes, and flowing lights flashed within. My spiritual force has broken through a level along with my cultivation. Presently, my spiritual force is still 2 levels higher than my cultivation, the 4th level of the void prying stage. Duan Ling Tian revealed a smile. Needless to say, his gains this time were extremely great. Squeak, squeak, a wave of cries sounded out by his ears, and only now did Duan Ling Tian notice that the little gold mouse had already awoken since an unknown time. Big brother Ling Tian, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. The little gold mouse's voice transmission was extremely urgent. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and smiled. Then he got off the bed and opened the room door before walking into the courtyard. I'll go ask them to prepare good food for us now. Actually, I'm hungry as well. Whoosh. The little gold mouse transformed into a gold light that firmly descended onto Duan Ling Tian's shoulder. After a short moment, Duan Ling Tian and the little gold mouse ate delicious delicacies. Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian took the opportunity to ask the worker about the time. The answer he obtained had exceeded Duan Ling Tian's expectations. I've actually cultivated for 10 days. In other words, I can go out again now. At the first possible moment, Duan Ling Tian thought of the guild master of the Weapons Craftsman Guild, Luo Rong. According to the agreement between him and Luo Rong, he would go guide Luo Rong in the Tao of weapons refinement every month. Little Gold, quickly finish your food. Let's go out, said Duan Ling Tian to the little gold mouse. Squeak, squeak, the little gold mouse nodded excitedly, then started gobbling down her food. After a short moment, she'd completely cleaned up the 2 portions of delicacies. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian brought along the little gold mouse and left Dragon and Phoenix Academy. When he left this time, Duan Ling Tian felt his mind was refreshed. It wasn't only because his cultivation and spiritual force had attained a breakthrough, it was even more because he noticed no one was following him. Time is still sufficient. Let's go around the imperial city. Duan Ling Tian was clear that the 2 great guardian elders of the Azure Forest Trisect were trapped into the inscription formation by him. So the members of the Azure Forest Trisect ought to not carry out any great movements against him in the short time. So, he had no worries. Squeak, squeak, suddenly, the little gold mouse cried out and asked curiously via voice transmission. Big brother Ling Tian, what place is this? It's so fragrant. The little gold mouse on Duan Ling Tian's shoulder sized up the luxurious building before her with interest. Duan Ling Tian glanced over and saw the large words on the plaque, Spring Night House. Presently, at the entrance of the Spring Night House stood a group of women with heavy makeup that were ceaselessly pulling on people that passed by as they spoke and giggled with pleasant voices. Their targets had a similarity. They were all men. Duan Ling Tian was naturally able to guess what this place was: a flower shop, a brothel that men sought for pleasure at. Spring Night House. This name is rather similar to the Spring Breeze House of Black Armor City. Duan Ling Tian's face revealed a trace of reminiscence. That time when he was still in the Crimson Sky Kingdom's Aurora City, he joined the Iron Blood Army's Genius Camp for the sake of obtaining a spot in Paladin Academy. During the days in the Genius Camp, he passed through many types of tests along the way. In the end, the final test he faced was to go to the neighboring kingdom's Black Armor City to drive a wedge between the Lien clan and the Black Armor Army. At that time, he used the Black Armor Army commander's only son's weak point of being fond of women to successfully complete the mission. Genius Camp. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but sigh. When he recollected the numerous scenes from that time, it seemed as if it was yesterday, but in fact, many years had passed instead. Young master, have you come to have fun? You're rather handsome. How about I accompany you? A woman with heavy makeup walked out from the Spring Night House, then walked towards Duan Ling Tian and smiled seductively as she moved to grab Duan Ling Tian's hand. Duan Ling Tian frowned, and his figure flashed to avoid the woman. The woman frowned before grinning as she grunted. If you aren't here to have fun, then why are you staring blankly at the door of our Spring Night House? Go away. Duan Ling Tian didn't intend to fuss about it, and he intended to turn around and leave. Whoosh. Right at this moment, Duan Ling Tian had a wave of piercingly cold sounds of the wind sound out from behind him. Slap. Subsequently, a clear sound of a slap sounded out. Young Master Chenwai, why did you hit me? At the same time, Duan Ling Tian heard the voice of the prostitute who assumed a haughty air earlier. But the voice of the prostitute now instead revealed humbleness that came from the heart. Lowly servant, do you know who he is? Do you think a person like you can mock him? Subsequently, a familiar voice entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears. Duan Ling Tian, who originally intended to leave, heard this voice, and then his body stopped moving before turning around. With just a glance, Duan Ling Tian saw the sword young master, Chen Xiaoshui, whose clothes weren't clean and tidy. Presently, a woman with a delicate and pretty appearance hung on sword young master's body. This woman was much more beautiful than the woman with heavy makeup. The expression of the woman with heavy makeup went pale when she heard sword young master. Sword young master, who's this young master? I'm extremely curious. The woman, who had her hands coiled over Chen Xiaoshui's neck and hung on him, spoke with a pleasant and light voice as she asked. His surname is Duan. What do you think? Sword young master lowered his head to kiss the woman's cheek. Duan. The woman's face froze when she heard this, then said in astonishment after a short while. Could it be that he's the 7-star sword sect genius disciple Duan Ling Tian? The most monstrous genius martial artist that is publicly acknowledged in our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Exactly. Sword young master nodded, then looked at Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, since you come to the door of Spring Night House, want to go in with me and play? It's my treat, how about it? Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. Sword young master, I appreciate your kindness, but I don't like these type of places. Sword young master glanced deeply at Duan Ling Tian when he heard this. Subsequently, sword young master's gaze descended onto Duan Ling Tian's nether regions and asked with a deep meaning hidden within his words. Duan Ling Tian, it wouldn't be that you have something wrong in that department? K off. Duan Ling Tian said angrily. You have something wrong in that department. You should control yourself. Watch out, or you might empty your body and affect your cultivation. After he finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian turned around and left, and he didn't pay any attention to sword young master anymore. But the chance encounter today had imperceptibly pulled closer the distance between the two of them. The woman in heavy makeup was scared to the point her figure trembled when she found out of Duan Ling Tian's identity. Although she was a prostitute, she'd heard of the rumors that gave rise to much discussion in the imperial city. The former disciple of the 7-star sword sect, Duan Ling Tian, had obtained the first in the experience mission of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy this time, and had obtained a spirit fruit that void-prying stage experts coveted. A figure like this only had to say a single word to make her die a graveless death. When she saw Duan Ling Tian turn around and leave, and he didn't fuss about it with her. Bang! She was unable to hold on any longer. She fell to the ground, and her countenance, that was ghastly pale to the extreme, had recovered slightly. Whereas the surrounding spectators reacted to what had just happened. So he's Duan Ling Tian. As expected of the publicly acknowledged #1 genius in the history of our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. He's really young. The crowd of people watched Duan Ling Tian walk off into the distance, and they only gradually dispersed after Duan Ling Tian's figure vanished before their eyes. Little beauty, let's continue. The sword young master embraced the woman in his arms and fiercely kissed her before flying up into the Spring Night House. The door of the Spring Night House returned to calm once again. You can K off. In the future, our Spring Night House doesn't have a person like you anymore. Right at this moment, a woman that looked like a madam walked out from the Spring Night House, and she had an unsightly expression as she angrily rebuked the woman with heavy makeup that was on the ground. This is your indenture contract. Scram quickly. I'll take it as I'm King Unfortunate. Obviously, the madam was afraid that Duan Ling Tian would come get even later. The woman looked at the indenture contract in her hand, and she wasn't able to recover from her shock for a long time. She never imagined that she would actually get a blessing in disguise. During these past few years, Her greatest desire was to earn sufficient money and buy back her freedom. But until now, the money she'd collected was utterly inadequate. Today, a great pie had fallen onto her head just like this. Under numerous strange gazes, the woman with heavy makeup knelt on the floor and respectfully kowtowed 3 times towards the end of the street. Only she knew why she was kowtowing and to whom. Duan Ling Tian naturally didn't know about all this. Duan Ling Tian had walked around for the entire morning, and after he had a meal at a restaurant, he'd once again arrived at the Weapons Craftsman Guild's main guild. It was still that beautiful woman that respectfully and reverently brought Duan Ling Tian to the 3rd floor. "Guest, you can enter yourself." The beautiful woman told Duan Ling Tian respectfully before turning around her well-shaped, delicate figure and left. Duan Ling Tian nodded, then lifted the curtain on the 3rd floor before walking in with large strides. Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian had only just entered when he heard a surprised voice sound out from within. Duan Ling Tian had only heard his voice but not seen him. Yet Duan Ling Tian was able to confirm that the owner of the voice wasn't the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, Luo Rong. This was the voice of a young man. Moreover, in this instant, Duan Ling Tian felt the voice to be extremely familiar. When Duan Ling Tian raised his head, he saw a familiar figure. Crazy young master? Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be stunned when he saw the young man before him. The person that stood before him was none other than the crazy young master, Luo Zhan, that was a Dragon and Phoenix Academy student as well. At the time, Luo Zhan was also the first ranked amongst the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's 5 great young masters. Never had Duan Ling Tian imagined that he would encounter Luo Zhan here. Luo Zhan, Luo Rong. Could it be? Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart, and he couldn't help but start guessing. Duan Ling Tian, why have you come here? You came to ask my grandfather to refine a grade 6 spirit weapon. After his surprised, crazy young master asked curiously. No. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. Looks like his guess wasn't wrong. The crazy young master, Luo Zhan, was the grandson of Luo Rong, the grandson of the Weapons Craftsman Guild's master. In the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, his status isn't inferior to Flame Young Master. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself. Flame Young Master, Zhang Yan, was the 3rd son of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's emperor, the imperial family's 3rd prince. In the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, his status was lofty, whereas the Weapons Craftsman Guild was an existence that's separate from the control of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. As the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, even if the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's emperor met Luo Rong, the emperor would have to treat him courteously and with due respect. No, crazy young master was stunned. Then you came to look for my grandfather for? Master, you've come. Right at this moment, an aged voice sounded out from within the inner room. Subsequently, an old man with refreshed spirits walked out, and he respectfully and reverently bowed to Duan Ling Tian. The nearby crazy young master was completely dumbstruck. His grandfather had bowed to Duan Ling Tian. Moreover, his grandfather had respectfully addressed Duan Ling Tian as master. At this moment, Luo Zhan felt his brain wasn't powerful enough to understand what was going on. If Duan Ling Tian was changed into a gray-haired old man, he might have not felt surprised. But Duan Ling Tian was a young man that was even younger than him. Guild Master Luo. Duan Ling Tian replied with a smile. This scene entered into crazy young master's eyes and caused him to be flabbergasted. His grandfather, the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, had bowed to a 25-year-old young man, and it had already caused him to feel disbelief. Now, the person his grandfather bowed to, the young man that was shockingly young, had actually frankly accepted all this? Who can tell me exactly what the F***K is going on? He was almost driven to madness from irritation. Zhan. Luo Rong saw Luo Zhan staring blankly as he stood there at the side. Then he frowned as he shouted in a low voice. Quickly come over and bow to this master. Grandfather, are you mistaken about something? He's similar to me, and he's only a student in Dragon and Phoenix Academy. How can he be some master? Luo Zhan said with a bitter smile. Slap. Unexpectedly, Luo Zhan had only just finished speaking when Luo Rong seemed to have transformed into the wind to flash to the side of Luo Zhan, then slapped straight onto the back of his head. Ah! Luo Zhan felt pain and cried out. Bow! Luo Rong's gaze became fierce, and it caused Luo Zhan's entire body to be unable to refrain from trembling. In his entire lifetime, it was the first time he'd seen his grandfather be so serious. Although he didn't know what was going on, he knew that if he continued to disobey his grandfather, he would absolutely not come to a good end. Master. In the end, Luo Zhan braced himself and nodded to Duan Ling Tian, and it could be considered as saluting Duan Ling Tian. You call that a salutation? Luo Rong's voice sounded out in a timely manner, and his tone had become much heavier. It scared Luo Zhan to the point his body trembled again, and he hurriedly bowed to Duan Ling Tian. Master. Duan Ling Tian was slightly at a loss of whether to laugh or cry as he watched the scene before him. Master, this grandson of mine is impolite. I hope you don't blame him. Luo Rong had an apologetic expression as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. Guildmaster Luo, don't mention it. It's exactly as Crazy Young Master said. I'm just like him. I'm only a student in Dragon and Phoenix Academy. In the future, we'll each have a separate relationship. Duan Ling Tian shook his head and smiled. Master, what ability does this kid have to be worthy of you calling him Crazy Young Master? Master, don't hesitate to just call him Little Zhan in the future. Luo Rong spoke respectfully and reverently to Duan Ling Tian. The nearby Luo Zhan had a helpless and bitter expression. Duan Ling Tian, exactly what medicine have you given my grandfather? Why do I suddenly feel he has gone senile? Crazy Young Master's slightly helpless voice transmission sounded out by Duan Ling Tian's ears. Your grandfather isn't senior, he's extremely sober. Duan Ling Tian replied with all seriousness. This is considered as sober? The corners of Luo Zhan's mouth twitched when he heard this, yet he didn't dare say it out. In the end, Duan Ling Tian used actions to prove everything. Hiss. Along with Duan Ling Tian raising his hand and flipping his palm, a strand of blue-colored flames lit ablaze on his palm. The blue-colored flame raged and moved restlessly, and it seemed as if it could burn everything. Blue-colored weapon flame? This is a grade 4 weapon flame. Luo Zhan was completely stunned on the spot as he looked at the grade 4 weapon flame in Duan Ling Tian's hand, and it was difficult for him to believe that everything before his eyes was real. He only recovered from his shock when Duan Ling Tian put out the weapon flame. Now he finally understood. No wonder grandfather is so respectful to Duan Ling Tian, and he even called Duan Ling Tian as a master. So it turns out that Duan Ling Tian is not only a genius martial artist, he's even a grade 4 weapons craftsman. Grade 4 weapons craftsman. Just thinking about it caused his heart to be unable to refrain from trembling. As the grandson of Luo Rong, he naturally knew how difficult the Tao of weapons refinement was. Even he himself was unable to set foot into the path of weapons refinement because his natural talent in weapons refinement wasn't sufficient, and this was a lifelong regret of his. Not yet 25 years of age, yet possesses a cultivation at the void prying stage, and his accomplishments in the Tao of weapons refinement can even be called heaven-defying. A grade 4 weapons craftsman. It's truly unbelievable. Luo Zhan's feelings surged, and it was difficult for it to calm down after a long time. The shock Duan Ling Tian brought to him was too great. Let's begin. Before long, Luo Zhan heard Duan Ling Tian's voice, and he noticed that along with Duan Ling Tian speaking, his grandfather, the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild, stood to the side like an obedient student and silently listened to Duan Ling Tian talking about the Tao of weapons refinement. Although he knew nothing about the Tao of weapons refinement, he was able to discern that his grandfather listened with extreme interest. Not only that, his grandfather even raised some questions from time to time. Whereas Duan Ling Tian would be able to answer his grandfather at the first possible moment every single time, and allowed his grandfather to be enlightened at one. Mad? This world is surely mad. How could such an unbelievable thing possibly happen? At this moment, Luo Zhan felt like the world was in chaos. Why would the world give birth to a monster like Duan Ling Tian? If it was said that before today, he still had the thought of comparing himself with Duan Ling Tian, then now, he only felt a wave of powerlessness. Not only did Duan Ling Tian's natural talent in the martial Dao surpass him, Duan Ling Tian's accomplishments in the Dao of weapons refinement even caused the grandfather he respected the most to be too inferior to be compared to Duan Ling Tian, a grade 4 weapons craftsman. Ordinarily speaking, this was an existence that only the various dynasties possessed. Now, an existence like this had appeared in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom and had appeared before his eyes. Most importantly, this was a young man that wasn't even 25. An afternoon's worth of time passed by extremely quickly. Your comprehension ability isn't bad, but unfortunately, you didn't have a good teacher's guidance and have tread down many wrong paths. I can guarantee that within half a year, you'll surely be able to become a grade 5 weapons craftsman, said Duan Ling Tian to Luo Rong. Luo Rong said with a humble expression, "It's all because master is skillful in teaching." "All right, it's getting late. I ought to leave." Duan Ling Tian bid his farewells to Luo Rong and turned around, intending to leave. "John, you accompany Master back to Dragon and Phoenix Academy. Remember to listen to Master in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. If you let me know that you dare be disrespectful to Master, I won't forgive you." Luo Rong looked at Luo Zhan as he instructed, and as he finished speaking, his tone became slightly more serious. "All right, grandfather." Luo Zhan smiled bitterly as he agreed. "On the way. Crazy young master. I hope you won't tell others that I'm a grade 4 weapons craftsman." Duan Ling Tian spoke slowly. "Don't worry, I'm not a big mouth. Besides that, don't call me crazy young master in the future. Otherwise, if my grandfather finds out, I'm afraid he'd directly break my legs." As he finished speaking, Luo Zhan had a helpless expression. He feared nothing except the grandfather he respected the most. "Don't call you crazy young master?" Duan Ling Tian's brows raised as a wisp of a smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. "Then I should call you little Zhan in the future? It sounds rather nice." The corners of Luo Zhan's mouth twitched. "Can you directly call my name?" "What? You have an objection?" Duan Ling Tian glanced deeply at Luo Zhan. "Do you need me to help give some complaints to your grandfather?" The corners of Luo Zhan's mouth twitched when he heard this, yet was at a loss to what to say, and he'd completely frightened. "Duan Ling Tian, you consumed the void refining fruit 10 days ago, and you ought to have already broken through to the second level of the void prying stage, right? How about we have a spar?" When he saw the academy was just before their eyes, Luo Zhan took the initiative to challenge Duan Ling Tian. "Anytime." Duan Ling Tian shrugged and had an indifferent expression. Subsequently, the two of them entered the Dragon and Phoenix Academy. Then they casually found an unused space before standing facing each other. "Let me say it first. You can't use your demonic technique." Before they started, Luo Zhan added in advance. "Demonic technique?" Duan Ling Tian was stunned. "The ability you used 10 days ago to make the first leader of the bandits become dazed," said Luo Zhan. Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden understanding. So it turns out that Luo Zhan was speaking of Little Gold's soul skill. "Could it be that you think you're a match for me after I've broken through if I don't use the demonic techniques?" Duan Ling Tian smiled. "We'll know if I'm a match for you after we fight." Strong confidence appeared on Luo Zhan's face. At the same time, he took a step out and the origin energy on his body raged and skyrocketed. It was like a strand of flame that was rising. Whoosh! In the sky, 4,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. Third level of the void prying stage. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted as he looked at the 4,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Luo Zhan. Luo Zhan is actually broken through? Whoosh! Subsequently, a strand of red energy appeared in the origin energy on the surface of Luo Zhan's body. In the sky, another 200 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. It was precisely Luo Zhan's elementary fire force. At this moment, Luo Zhan's figure flashed out like spraying flames that swept towards Duan Ling Tian, and it seemed as if it wanted to burn Duan Ling Tian into ash. Swoosh! When Luo Zhan arrived nearby Duan Ling Tian, he abruptly raised his hand. A spear appeared in his hand, and accompanied by the twining of his raging origin energy and fire force, the spear was like a flame dragon emerging from its cave, as it fiercely flashed towards Duan Lingtian. In the sky, another 1,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. Obviously, the spear in Luo Zhan's hand was a grade 6 spirit spear. Luo Zhan's spear strike flashed out, and when it arrived nearby Duan Lingtian, he shook the body of the spear, causing the tip of the spear to sweep out like raindrops. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The array of stars that covered the sky embellished the sky, and they instantly transformed into numerous shooting stars that swept towards Duan Lingtian. Luo Zhan attacked with his full strength, utilizing both spirit weapon and fire force. His strength was comparable to the strength of 5,700 ancient mammoths. Luo Zhan felt his spirits refreshed when he attacked with full force. Presently, his body shot out with his spear as the corners of his mouth slightly curled into a smile, and he seemed as if he's already seen the scene of himself defeating Duan Lingtian. It's a pretty good spear skill. Unfortunately, it's too fancy and has scattered a large amount of strength. Right at this moment, Duan Lingtian spoke. At the same time that he spoke, the violet myrtle flexible sword appeared in Duan Lingtian's hand. Origin energy suffused into it before half-step advanced lightning force and half-step advanced wind force fused into the origin energy. In the next moment, Duan Lingtian's gaze went slightly cold. Sword drawing arts. Duan Lingtian stood on the spot, and with a raise of his hand and the sword in his hand instantly vanished before Luo Zhan's eyes. So swift, Luo Zhan's pupils constricted. It was at this moment that Luo Zhan clearly saw that in the sky above Duan Lingtian, there actually was 5,800 ancient mammoth silhouettes. The strength contained in this sword strike of Duan Lingtian's was the strength of 100 ancient mammoths, more than the strength of his full force spear strike. Instantly, Luo Zhan's pupils constricted, and he was slightly bitter in his heart. Only now did he recall that besides being a genius martial artist with monstrous natural talent in the martial Dao, Duan Lingtian was even a grade 4 weapons craftsman with extremely high attainments in the Dao of weapons refinement. Obviously, the sword Duan Lingtian used now was a grade 4 spirit sword. Presently, Duan Lingtian's cultivation is at the second level of the void prying stage, and when not using his grade 4 spirit sword in force, he's able to exert the strength of 3,000 ancient mammoths. Once he utilized force, he will be able to increase his strength by another strength of 1,000 ancient mammoths. In other words, when Duan Lingtian doesn't utilize a spirit weapon and utilizes his full strength, he can only exert the strength of 4,000 ancient mammoths. But now, the corners of Luo Zhan's mouth started twitched as he looked at the 5,800 ancient mammoth silhouettes in the sky. The amplification provided by the spirit sword in Duan Lingtian's hand was actually the strength of 1,800 ancient mammoths. With the strength of 3,000 ancient mammoths as the base, amplifying the strength of 1,800 ancient mammoths. If counted in reverse, Duan Lingtian's grade 4 spirit sword is actually able to amplify strength by 60%. Luo Zhan was greatly shocked in his heart. All these thoughts were completed in only an instant. When Luo Zhan returned to his senses, he had a serious expression. Origin energy raged and fire force roared on the grade 6 spirit spear in his hand. The tip of the spear pierced out swifts as if it had transformed into a meteor shower that covered the sky. But even then, he still felt slightly lacking in confidence. Swish! An ear-piercing howl of the sword slices through the sky, drawing out a mark in the air. Clang! 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 Everywhere the sword light passed, the ear-piercing sound of iron weapons collided ceaselessly resounded out. It was Duan Lingtian's spirit sword that had made a circle in the air, easily stopping the sword lights of Luo Zhan that descended down in tiny spots. The sword light ceaselessly spun as it passed, and its speed was so swift that it was shocking. Duan Lingtian, take this! Luo Zhan shouted out explosively when he saw Duan Lingtian break through his spear skill so easily, and his spear shot out like flames as it fiercely stabbed towards Duan Lingtian. Whoosh! Piercing howls exploded out, and it gave rise to a wave of continuous sounds of air exploding. Bring it on. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised, and with a raise of his hand, the violet myrtle flexible sword in his hand abruptly pierced out to intercept the tip of Luo Zhan's spear. At the same time, the origin energy on Duan Ling Tian's violet myrtle flexible sword abruptly started trembling. Extreme quake energy. Although quake energy at the extreme was only comparable to the strength of 100 ancient mammoths. But under these circumstances, its effect was extremely great. After all, the strength of Duan Ling Tian's sword now was stronger by the strength on Luo Zhan's spear by 100 ancient mammoths. Even though he'd surely defeat Luo Zhan in a head-on attack, because the difference between his and Luo Zhan's strength, Duan Ling Tian would surely be injured even if he defeated Luo Zhan. Now, by utilizing quake energy at the extreme, it would be able to help him dampen Luo Zhan's strength and help him finish the battle between him and Luo Zhan as soon as possible. Swish. A sword howl sounded out, and when combined with the quake energy at the extreme, it emitted a buzzing sound. Finally, the sword and spear collided. The tip of the sword collided with the tip of the spear, emitting a wave of ear-piercing noises and brought along a string of sparks at the same time. Clang! Duan Ling Tian's hand shook, causing the violet myrtle flexible sword to fiercely raise up and hit the body of Luo Zhan's spear. Instantly, Luo Zhan's face went grim as he hurriedly let go and tossed away the spear in his hand. At this moment, his own spirit weapon was like a dreadful monster to him. Whereas the hand Luo Zhan held the spear with had split open and blood dripped down from it. What a terrifying method of strength exertion. When he thought of the scene from before, Luo Zhan had a slight lingering fear in his heart. Even though Duan Ling Tian's origin energy was stronger than his, it wasn't much stronger, and he had the strength to fight. But earlier, the origin energy that gushed out from Duan Ling Tian carried along an extremely terrifying force of vibration that directly smashed his origin energy. Not only that, the vibrating force that was carried along by Duan Ling Tian's origin energy was even able to affect the flesh, blood, bones, and internal organs of his entire body. He was sure that if he didn't resolutely toss away the grade 6 spirit spear, the hand which he used to hold the spear would have been crippled. Duan Ling Tian, what ability was that? After he put away his spirit spear, Luo Zhan looked at Duan Ling Tian with a slight lingering fear in his heart. Duan Ling Tian smiled mysteriously and didn't answer Luo Zhan, and then walked towards the inner hall after he put away the violet myrtle flexible sword. Luo Zhan's gaze became even more complicated as he looked at Duan Ling Tian's figure that moved into the distance. After he returned to the inner hall, Duan Ling Tian sent a voice transmission to Qi Ming, who stood outside the small house. Vice Dean Qi, I've spoken with that grade 4 weapons craftsman. He can refine a grade 4 spirit weapon glove for you. Moreover, it will be an improvement with your grade 6 spirit weapon glove as the foundation. What materials does he require? Qi Ming had an excited expression when he heard this. The materials for a spirit weapon glove are much more difficult to come by than the materials for a saber or sword-type spirit weapon. That senior said that if you want to advance your grade 6 spirit glove into a grade 4 spirit weapon, you must find. Duan Ling Tian listed out 7 types of materials in one go, and he'd intentionally added slightly extra amounts of materials. Because he intended to take the opportunity to refine a grade 4 spirit weapon for himself that could go together with his Tempest Point. I'll gather all the materials as soon as possible, Qi Ming replied with a voice filled with excitement. Originally, Duan Ling Tian's estimation was that if Qi Ming wanted to find these materials, he would at least have to spend a few months of time. 1 month later, when Duan Ling Tian saw the 7 types of materials within the spatial ring that Qi Ming passed to him, Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be stunned for a time. Vice Dean Qi, where did you find these materials? 3 of these 7 types of materials are extremely difficult to come by. Duan Ling Tian looked at Qi Ming with a slightly stiff expression. Qi Ming said with a smile, don't forget that besides being the Vice Dean of Dragon and Phoenix Academy, I have another identity. Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden understanding when he heard this. Besides being the Vice Dean of the Academy, Qi Ming was also one of the 5 great revered elders of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial family. Presumably, he'd used the might of the imperial family to find these materials. Or perhaps, he'd gone through the vault in the imperial palace. Vice Dean Shi, I'll leave the academy now and look for that senior to refine the grade 4 spirit weapon for you. Duan Ling Tian left after he bid his farewells to Qi Ming. He naturally didn't go to see any senior, but instead directly went to the Weapons Craftsman main guild. After he ascended to the 3rd floor, he went straight to the point. I intend to refine another 2 grade 4 spirit weapons. Stand aside and observe properly. Luo Rong's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he had an excited expression. I can finally see Master refine grade 4 spirit weapons again. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian withdrew the grade 6 spirit weapon gloves that Qi Ming gave him. Duan Ling Tian didn't go straight to refining, but he instead looked at Luo Rong and asked, "Can you discern what obvious flaws this grade 6 spirit weapon possesses?" Luo Rong's gaze descended onto the gloves in Duan Ling Tian's hand when he heard this. Instantly, his pupils imperceptibly constricted. Duan Ling Tian didn't notice this scene. Luo Rong is slow-witted. Please guide me, master. Luo Rong looked respectfully at Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian said indifferently, "This grade 6 spirit weapon glove used materials that are superior and utterly didn't require too superb skill in weapons refinement to easily bestow it with the ability to amplify strength by 39%. But unfortunately, the weapons craftsman that refined this spirit weapon glove was truly too stupid. How can that 1,000-year ice silkworm silk be covered by frigid gold silk? It's truly a reckless waste." Duan Ling Tian frowned as he said, "So long as the properties of the 1,000-year ice silkworm silk in this spirit weapon glove is exposed, it's extremely easy to amplify strength by 39%. Too stupid. Too stupid. If the weapons craftsman that refined this spirit weapon glove was before me, I'll surely bluntly call him an idiot." As he finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian ceaselessly shook his head. "Master." Meanwhile, Luo Rong looked at Duan Ling Tian and was slightly hesitant to speak. Duan Ling Tian was bewildered as he didn't know what Luo Rong wanted to say. "Master, I'm that idiot," Luo Rong said with a bitter smile. The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth twitched, and he was slightly embarrassed. Never had he imagined that the grade 6 spirit weapon glove of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy's vice dean, Qi Ming, was actually refined by the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's weapons craftsman main guild, Luo Rong. "Master, you're refining a grade 4 spirit weapon for Qi Ming." Luo Rong took a deep breath and his eyes contained slight envy mixed within. Duan Ling Tian nodded. "Yes, I owe him a favor." "A favor?" Luo Rong came to a sudden understanding. Although he was curious what favor did Duan Ling Tian owe Qi Ming, he knew what he should ask and what he shouldn't. "I'm starting." Duan Ling Tian nodded to Luo Rong, then started. Profound weapons refinement techniques came freely in Duan Ling Tian's hands, and it was as if he was assisted by the gods. For the sake of taking care of Luo Rong, Duan Ling Tian intentionally slowed down. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian withdrew the pile of materials, including the 7 materials Qi Ming had found for him. "This is 1,000-year ice? This is a 10,000-year-old turtle shell? This is..." As the guild master of the weapons craftsman main guild, Luo Rong had excellent sight, and he quickly recognized these rare materials. "Looks like that fellow Qi Ming went through a lot of trouble for the grade 4 spirit weapon," Luo Rong thought in his heart. Luo Rong quickly returned to his senses and watched Duan Ling Tian refine seriously. After spending an entire morning, Duan Ling Tian had finally completed the refinement of the grade 4 spirit weapon glove he promised Qi Ming. Whoosh! When Duan Ling Tian wore the glove and his origin energy raged. 4,800 lifelike ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form in the sky. 60% amplification again. Luo Rong's pupils constricted when he saw this scene. Duan Ling Tian nodded in satisfaction as he'd finally completed his promise to Qi Ming. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian put away the glove and wore a light azure ring on his right index finger. This wasn't a spatial ring, but was instead the grade 4 spirit weapon Duan Ling Tian refined for himself. Suddenly, Tempest Point. With a raise of his hand, the Tempest Point force condensed and tore through the sky, and it pierced through the window on the 3rd floor before it shook towards the sky outside. Above Duan Ling Tian, 5,800 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. This time, the reason there as an extra strength of 1,000 ancient mammoths compared to before was because Duan Ling Tian utilized his half-step advanced lightning force and half-step advanced wind force at the same time. This is an offensive spirit weapon? Luo Rong was dumbstruck. He'd seen it clearly when Duan Ling Tian refined this ring earlier. He originally thought it was only a spatial ring, but unexpectedly, this was actually an offensive spirit weapon. Moreover, it was a grade 4 offensive spirit weapon that provided a 60% amplification. Duan Ling Tian spun the azure-colored ring on his hand with satisfaction, and he revealed a smile on his face. For the afternoon, Duan Ling Tian continued to guide Luo Rong in the Tao of weapons refinement. Whereas Luo Rong improved by leaps and bounds when compared to before. At dusk, Luo Rong reluctantly sent Duan Ling Tian to the stairway on the 3rd floor. "Master, take care." Duan Ling Tian nodded, then left the Weapons Craftsman Guild and returned to Dragon and Phoenix Academy. In the following days, besides cultivating in the academy, Duan Ling Tian would leave the academy every month to guide Luo Rong in the Tao of weapons refinement at the Weapons Craftsman Guild. The remaining time was almost all spent on the various experience missions issued by the academy. As expected, Duan Ling Tian obtained the first in every single mission issued by the academy. But unfortunately, the missions issued by the academy later on didn't have any rewards like the void refining fruit. The points Duan Ling Tian collected were all exchanged for various materials. As for cultivation methods, martial skills, spirit weapons, and medicinal pills, he utterly had no need for them. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, only half a month remained to the genius competition of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. At that time, the people who ranked in the top 5 of the genius competition would obtain the qualification to head to Darkstone Empire's Imperial City and compete with the young geniuses of the Darkstone Empire and the various Imperial Kingdoms. If they were able to become eminent in the Darkstone Empire, they would be able to head to the Darkhan Dynasty to compete for the qualification to participate in the martial competition of the 10 dynasties. There was a vast space at the northern area of the Imperial City. This space was like a sunken gorge. Around the gorge was rows of orderly seats, and it was precisely the seating area. Presently, the seating area was jam-packed. Whereas on the even ground in the gorge was an enormous specially made iron cage that enveloped the entire gorge within it, and 2 figures could be faintly seen to be flashing within the iron cage. Presently, on the stairs outside the seating area that led outside was 3 figures. Caged battle arena? A young man in violet clothed raised his brows. What's special about this caged battle arena? Squeak, squeak. Presently, a little gold mouse stood on the shoulder of the violet-clothed young man, and the little gold mouse looked at the other 2 people with interest. One of these 2 people carried a sheathed sword on his back, and the other was handsome and extraordinary. The 2 of them had a similarity. They were both young men that were a little over 30 years of age. Duan Ling Tian. The cage battle arena is a place filled with hot blood and is able to foster courage. The young man who carried a sword lightly smiled. Exactly. I believe that you will like this place. The handsome and extraordinary young man nodded. The 2 of you are still beating around the bush? The violet-clothed young man was precisely Duan Ling Tian. Today, he'd been forcefully dragged to this place by Crazy Young Master and Sword Young Master. Duan Ling Tian. Ascend to the highest stairs, and you'll naturally know what sort of place the cage battle arena is, Luo Zhan said with a smile. Duan Ling Tian nodded, then his pace quickened slightly. At this moment, Luo Zhan and Chun Xiao Shui had successfully aroused the curiosity in his heart. Caged battle arena. Exactly what sort of place is this? The depths of Duan Ling Tian's gaze was filled with anticipation. He hadn't stepped onto the highest stair when numerous frenzied voices entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears. Duan Ling Tian, whose heart was filled with curiosity, finally ascended to the higher level of the stairs. With just a glance, he saw that there were innumerable figures either standing or sitting now with their backs towards him. Whereas these people were now looking ahead, and many people had even stood up from their seats in excitement as they cheered loudly without end. Kill him! Kill him! The frenzied voices almost influenced Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian raised his head to look over, and only now did he notice that what appeared before his eyes was a large circular ring with an extremely vast area. Whereas within this large ring was many gaps, and at those gaps was numerous stairs that allowed one to go along the stairs and walk inwards. At the sides of these stairs was the boundless seating area. The scene before him caused Duan Ling Tian to be unable to help but recall the Spanish bull ring from Earth in his previous life. But the bull ring wasn't as bustling as this place. This is the caged battle arena. Luo Zhan's voice sounded out by Duan Ling Tian's ears. Presently, Luo Zhan was pointing towards the boundless sea of people, and he lightly smiled as he introduced them to Duan Ling Tian. So many people. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be surprised. The people in the area were probably at least numbering a few tens of thousands. Even when he was at the most bustling trade market of the imperial city, Duan Ling Tian didn't see such a magnificent scene. I've come to the imperial city for almost a year, yet I actually didn't know there was such a place. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Of course, this was also related to the fact that when he left the academy every month, he would directly head to the Weapons Craftsman Guild to guide Luo Rong in the Tao of weapons refinement. Luo Rong had almost occupied the only time he could leave the academy every month. Otherwise, he'd have gone all around the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial city, and he wouldn't have come to the extent of not knowing of the existence of this caged battle arena. This caged battle arena is this bustling every day. Chen Xiaoshuai's brows raised as he suggested. Let's go in and find a place to sit. Subsequently, under Chen Xiaoshuai's lead, Duan Ling Tian and Luo Zhan followed closely behind. During this time of almost a year, Duan Ling Tian and Luo Zhan had become friends. As for Chen Xiaoshuai, he had a forthright character. Coupled with him clearly casting aside his relationship with the Origin Convergence sect and his disposition, he was extremely fitting with Duan Ling Tian. So he could be considered to be Duan Ling Tian's friend now as well. During this time of almost a year that Duan Ling Tian had arrived at the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's imperial city, Duan Ling Tian had only gotten acquainted with two friends. Duan Ling Tian's group of three followed along the stairs between the seating areas and walked down. Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian clearly saw the scene ahead. What a large iron cage! The enormous iron cage that covered the entire vast space shocked Duan Ling Tian. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian noticed the man and beast that were fighting within the enormous iron cage. The situation of the battle between the man and beast was horrifying, and that person already had one of his arms torn off. However, he was still desperately resisting. Caged battle arena, caged battle. So that's how it is. Now, Duan Ling Tian could be considered to have completely understood the meaning of the words caged battle arena. Earlier, I felt this place was like the Spanish bull ring of my previous life. But now it would seem like it's more similar to the ancient Roman Colosseum of my previous life. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart, and his gaze descended onto the crowd of spectators. Whereas these people are the ancient Roman nobles that watched the slaves and wild beasts battle in the Colosseum to their heart's content. The nobles would be excited so long as they saw blood, and it's similar to these people now. Duan Ling Tian slightly sighed with emotion. Although he'd integrated himself into this world, it was still slightly difficult for him to adapt to the slave system. After all, the Earth in his previous life was a world that regarded everyone as equals. But he wasn't unfamiliar to the slaves of this world. All those years ago, as the guardian elder of the Boundless sect, Xiong Quan had been chased after by the Black Fiend sect and was infected by the Origin Sealing parasite, causing his origin energy to be completely sealed. He was captured and branded with the brand of a slave and had become a slave. Later on, Xiong Quan was saved by Duan Ling Tian and recovered his origin energy before becoming Duan Ling Tian's follower. Even though Xiong Quan was a slave, Duan Ling Tian had never taken him to be one and had given him sufficient respect, And this was the reason that Xiong Quan followed Duan Ling Tian wholeheartedly. Xiong Quan. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but sigh when he thought of Xiong Quan now. I hope that I can head to the foreign lands as soon as possible. So long as I'm able to obtain the resurrection pill within the great treasures the Rebirth Martial Emperor left behind, I'll be able to help Xiong Quan recover his Dantian. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart. He'd always felt guilty towards Xiong Quan in his heart. After all, Xiong Quan's Dantian was crippled and lost his entire cultivation because of Duan Ling Tian. This was something he owed Xiong Quan. Roar. An enormous roar pulled Duan Ling Tian's thoughts back to reality. Duan Ling Tian saw that within the caged battle arena, after the strong, fierce beast bit the human martial artist to death, it was ceaselessly roaring loudly to demonstrate its might. He's dead. Duan Ling Tian's brows frowned when he saw the mangled corpse of the human martial artist. Seeming to have perceived Duan Ling Tian's surprise, the nearby Luo Zhan explained. Once one enters the caged battle arena, then no matter if one is a human or a beast, only one can survive. Only when one of the two remains would the caged battle end. Only the winner is able to leave the cage. Duan Ling Tian frowned when he heard Luo Zhan. In other words, every battle in this caged battle arena is a battle to the death? It can be said to be so. Chun Xiao Shuai nodded and said slowly. To people with weak strengths, this place is hell, because they might be killed by a person or beast at any moment. Duan Ling Tian nodded. So this was the caged battle arena, a place that was filled with blood and slaughter. Of course, to people who wanted to ceaselessly become stronger, this place was undoubtedly the best touchstone. 1. The people that were able to survive within the caged battle arena would surely be outstanding powerhouses. Once one stepped into the caged battle arena, one only had one choice. Either live or die. The person that was killed by the fierce beast now seems to be a slave? Duan Ling Tian asked curiously. Yes. Luo Zhan nodded. It's not every time that a person dares enter into the caged battle arena. So when there are no people entering, the caged battle arena arranges for the slaves, fierce beast, and demon beasts they reared to enter and slaughter each other. Whereas the caged battle arena would be the bookmaker who opens a wager and obtains benefit from it. Luo Zhan finished in one go. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Does the caged battle arena have any rules? Duan Ling Tian asked. Chun Xiao Shuai introduced. Ordinarily speaking, the slaves or demon beasts sent out by the caged battle arena itself are all of similar strength, whereas people on the spectating area can only step in battle when their cultivations are similar to the slaves, demon beasts, or fierce beasts. Otherwise, if a person with a cultivation that far surpassed the slaves, fierce beasts, and demon beasts stepped into the caged battle arena, then it would be a one-sided slaughter and have no meaning at all. The caged battle arena doesn't allow a thing like this to happen. Chun Xiao Shuai continued. Duan Ling Tian nodded. These rules were understandable. Otherwise, wouldn't the caged battle arena lose money to the extreme? Besides that, when the person that dares to step into the caged battle arena and battle a slave, fierce beast, or demon beast with a similar cultivation obtains victory, the person will acquire generous rewards. Luo Zhan added. The rewards are different according to the cultivation of the person. For example, if a void-prying stage martial artist is able to kill the slave, demon beast, or fierce beast of the same cultivation in the caged battle arena, the reward obtained would be far more generous than a nascent soul stage martial artist's. Besides that, the person that enters the cage battle arena is not allowed to use the assistance of any external source of strength. It's any, said Chun Xiao Shuai. Any. Duan Ling Tian's brows raise. Could it be that even spirit weapons are prohibited? Yes. Chun Xiao Shuai nodded. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be astonished. After all, it was impossible for the slaves in the caged battle arena to use spirit weapons to deal with those fierce beasts and demon beasts of similar cultivation. If it wasn't that way, it would have no meaning. Chun Xiao Shuai continued. Duan Ling Tian nodded. He was able to understand the reason behind this rule after Chun Xiao Shuai said this. What rewards would there normally be? Duan Ling Tian asked curiously. There are spirit weapons, money, medicinal pills, cultivation methods, martial skills, and there even would be some rare materials and spirit fruits occasionally as rewards. As he finished speaking, Chen Xiaoshuai's gaze burned slightly with desire. Spirit fruits? Duan Ling Tian was similarly filled with yearning when he heard this. It's slightly interesting. Duan Ling Tian grinned. Unknowingly, Duan Ling Tian's group of 3 had arrived nearby the caged battle arena. Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian clearly and thoroughly saw the entire caged battle arena. This caged battle arena was like a football field of his previous life, and the arena was extremely vast. Whereas on this vast arena was numerous black iron that crisscrossed across to form an enormous iron cage that sealed the entire arena within it. This is thousand-year dark iron. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian recognized the material of this iron cage, and his pupils couldn't help but constrict. Thousand-year dark iron. Even if it was a void-prying stage martial artist, it would be difficult for the martial artist to forcefully break it open. This caged battle arena truly has deep pockets. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Duan Ling Tian, this caged battle arena possesses powerful backing. It's the business under the brother of the emperor, Prince Shang. Chen Xiaoshuai provided the answer to what Duan Ling Tian was wondering about. No wonder. Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden understanding. Those seats. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian noticed that this seating area that was nearest to the cage battle arena actually had fewer people than the seating area behind them. After a short moment, he obtained the answer. They'd only just sat down when a middle-aged man walked over with an expressionless face and extended his hand towards Duan Ling Tian's group of 3. Duan Ling Tian had wrapped his head around it. Whoosh! With a raise of his hand, Chen Xiaoshuai withdrew 3 gold bills and passed it to the middle-aged man. 30,000 gold. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. He saw extremely clearly that the 3 gold bills Chen Xiaoshuai passed over were all of the 10,000 denomination. Because of their location being at the front, these seats that are near to the cage battle arena have an extremely good field of vision. Thus, one seat is worth 10,000 gold. Luo Zhan noticed Duan Ling Tian's surprise and smiled as he explained. One seat, 10,000 gold. Duan Ling Tian smiled bitterly. In the caged battle arena of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Imperial City, gold was actually of so little worth. Only watching a battle to the death. Only the fee for a seat had cost 10,000 gold. 10,000 gold was 1 million silver. Moreover, the people who sit in the front row have the privilege of having priority when undergoing a cage battle. Chen Xiaoshuai added. Right when Duan Ling Tian's group sat down, the fierce beast within the caged battle arena had left already. A slave with a frosty expression and a slave-marked branded on his face walked into the caged battle arena under the lead of an old man. This slave is at the 7th level of nascent soul stage. Is there any guest that wants to battle him? The old man soared up into the sky and stood above the slave, and his voice that contained origin energy transmitted far into the distance. So long as a guest is able to kill him, you'll be able to obtain a 500,000 gold reward from out caged battle arena. 500,000 gold. Instantly, many people became agitated in the spectating area, as the temptation of 500,000 gold was great. Duan Ling Tian. If you go down into the arena to battle a slave or demon beast with the same cultivation, would you choose a slave or a demon beast? Luo Zhan asked Duan Ling Tian. Demon beast. Duan Ling Tian didn't hesitate in the slightest. Luo Zhan looked at Chen Xiaoshuai. Sword young master, what about you? Demon beast as well. Chen Xiaoshuai similarly didn't hesitate, then said slowly. Although slaves are inferior to demon beasts and fierce beasts of the same cultivation when not using a spirit weapon, but no matter how strong demon beasts and fierce beasts are, they're only animals. Even if they've developed intelligence, there's still quite a distance when compared to humans. So, normally speaking, slaves have a will to survive that far surpasses a fierce beast and demon beast. When they're facing imminent death, they'd often explode out with unbelievable potential and launch a counterattack. I've seen too many similar scenes in the caged battle arena, and between a fierce beast, demon beast, and slave of the same cultivation, the latter is more terrifying. As he finished speaking, Chen Xiaoshuai sighed rather emotionally. My thoughts are similar to yours. Luo Zhan smiled. Then he looked at Duan Ling Tian and asked, Duan Ling Tian, you ought to be thinking like this as well, right? Under the gazes of Luo Zhan and Chen Xiao Shui, Duan Ling Tian shook his head. No, the both of them couldn't help but be stunned. No, Duan Ling Tian nodded, and then he sighed. The reason I didn't choose slaves isn't because of how great potential they're able to explode forthwith when they're facing imminent danger, but instead because they are humans. Humans that had blood and flesh just like them. Humans. Luo Zhan and Chen Xiao Shui went silent. Although they don't possess human rights, these slaves are humans after all. They're of the same kind as us. Duan Ling Tian continued. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian's gaze became slightly dazed. He suddenly felt that he'd changed greatly when compared to his previous life. During his previous life, for the sake of attaining his goal, he would sometimes stop at nothing and was exceedingly ruthless. But in this lifetime, he'd changed instead. The current him was simply like a different person when compared to his previous life. In his previous life, he killed resolutely, irrespective of right or wrong. In this lifetime, if there was no need, then when he did things and killed, he wouldn't implicate innocent people. Simply speaking, he'd become humane. This was a change in his psychology. Perhaps even Duan Ling Tian himself didn't know that after he came to this world, the him of this lifetime had been unconsciously influenced and changed. Whereas all these changes came from the people by his side. In this lifetime, he had parents, he had fiancés, and he had many brothers and friends. He wasn't all alone like in his previous life. Of the same kind, what a notion. I truly never imagined that amongst the people that came to watch the excitement in the cage battle arena, there's still such a compassionate person. Truly laughable. An ear-piercing voice entered into the ears of Duan Ling Tian's group of three. Subsequently, a young man in embroidered clothes sat at a seat nearby Duan Ling Tian's group of three under the escort of an old man. The words from before were precisely spoke by this embroidered clothed young man. If you're really compassionate, then why are you coming to watch slaves battle? Hypocrite. The tone of the young man in embroidered clothes was as annoying could be. Duan Ling Tian frowned and couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the young man. Luo Zhan and Chen Xiao Shui frowned when they heard the mocking of the young man in embroidered clothes, and only eased up their frowns when they saw Duan Ling Tian didn't take any action. Allow me. An explosive shout sounded out from the east side of the spectating area. Subsequently, a robust middle-aged man left the spectating area and was brought into the caged battle arena by the workers of the arena. Looks like the temptation of 500,000 gold is extremely great, Duan Ling Tian said with a smile. It's not only 500,000 gold. To a martial artist, the battle to the death in the cage battle arena is also an extremely superb method to stimulate the potential in their bodies, said Crazy Young Master, and traces of burning battle intent seemed to be suffused within his eyes. Luo Zhan, you look impatient to enter the arena to me. But you're at the 4th level of the void prying stage now, so there aren't many opponents for you, said Chen Xiao Shui with a smile. Duan Ling Tian, if there's a 4th level void prying stage slave or demon beast, you can't fight for it with me, Luo Zhan said to Duan Ling Tian. Demon beast, mine. Slave, yours. Duan Ling Tian spoke indifferently. Since he'd come to the cage battle arena, he naturally wouldn't just watch the excitement. He wanted to experience the pleasure of battling a demon beast of the same cultivation as well. Agreed. Luo Zhan nodded. Although between demon beasts and slaves, he was more afraid of the latter. But he wasn't afraid of ordinary 4th level void prying stage slaves. It could be seen from the conversation between Luo Zhan and Duan Ling Tian that Duan Ling Tian's current cultivation was equal to Luo Zhan, the 4th level of the void prying stage. Squeak, squeak. The little gold mouse who stood on Duan Ling Tian's shoulder cried out, and her pair of jade green eyes had a burning, flowing light flicker within. What? Little gold, you want to join in the fun as well? Duan Ling Tian looked at the little gold mouse and asked via voice transmission. Squeak, squeak. The little gold mouse nodded enthusiastically, and she said via voice transmission, Big Brother Ling Tian, if there's an 8th level void prying stage slave of demon beast, then I want to battle them. Duan Ling Tian rolled his eyes at the little gold mouse, and then he asked Luo Zhan and Chen Xiaoshuai, "Are there demon beasts and slaves at the 7th level void prying stage and above in this cage battle arena?" 7th level of the void prying stage? Both of them were stunned when they heard Duan Ling Tian. Then they shook their heads at the same time. It's impossible for a demon beast or slave at the 7th level of the void prying stage and above to appear, Luo Zhan said. Even if there are slaves or demon beasts at the 7th level of the void prying stage and above in the caged battle arena, the caged battle arena wouldn't allow them to enter the arena. Existences like that are normally enlisted into Prince Sheng's estate, and they are either auctioned off at high prices or kept to guard and look after the estate. Exactly. If existences at the 7th level of the void prying stage were to be put into the caged battle arena, it would absolutely be a reckless waste. Confirmed Chen Xiaoshuai. Duan Ling Tian came to a suddenly understanding, then looked at the little gold mouse as he said via voice transmission, "Little gold, looks like you have no chance of entering the arena." The little gold mouse's little head instantly drooped when she heard this, and she was dispirited. Duan Ling Tian's gaze quickly descended into the caged battle arena. Presently, the robust middle-aged man that entered the arena was already locked in combat with the slave. As they were both 7th level nascent soul stage martial artists, the two of them were evenly matched. When the two of them fought, punches and kicks went to and fro as origin energy raged, and it caused one to be dazzled by the sight. Roar! Suddenly, the slave abruptly emitted an enraged roar that was like a fierce beast, and it was as if he'd gone mad as he pounced towards the robust middle-aged man. The situation was originally in equilibrium, but now, when he saw the slave suddenly explode out to fight desperately, a wisp of terror appeared in the eyes of the robust middle-aged man. It was precisely because of this instant of hesitation. He lost. Accompanied by the shrill cries that stopped abruptly, he was forcefully torn into two halves by the slave. His mangled body flew out to the sides before crashing onto the ground. This exceedingly bloody scene was like a fuse that completely lit the atmosphere at the scene ablaze. Many spectators stood up in excitement as they swung their fists and cheered. "Barbarian! Barbarian!" The wave of cheers resounded out and enveloped the entire caged battle arena. Barbarian? It's the name of this slave? Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. His sharp gaze passed through the enormous iron cage before him to look at the word branded on this slave's face. Barbarian. Subsequently, the battles within the caged battle arena were carried out like a raging fire. This is a 1st level void prying stage demon beast, Flame Lion. Is there any guest at the 1st level of the void prying stage that wants to enter the arena and battle it? So long as you kill this Flame Lion, you'll be able to obtain 3 million gold. The voice of the old man that floated above the caged battle arena sounded out. In the caged battle arena, a flame lion with an entire body of red-colored hair stood there. The flame lion was like a small hill, opening its bloody mouth every now and then as scarlet red appeared in its fierce eyes. Imperceptibly, it gave others a type of pressure. This flame lion is supposedly a demon beast that is blessed by the heavens. So long as it breaks through to the 1st level of the void prying stage and becomes a demon beast, then it's able to comprehend elementary fire force. Luo Zhan sighed. Very few 1st level void prying stage martial artists are able to defeat this flame lion. Looks like there ought to be no one that enters the arena, said Chen Xiaoshuai. Indeed. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Although in truth, any one of the three of them were sufficient to go against the Flame Lion when they were at the 1st level of the Void Prying stage. But in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, there were extremely few people that possessed this type of natural talent and comprehension ability. A group of bumpkins. Open up your lowly eyes and watch. A 1st level Void Prying stage Flame Lion can't withstand a single blow from me. This 1st level Void Prying stage martial artist. Suddenly, an ear-piercing voice entered into the ears of Duan Ling Tian's group of three. Whoosh. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian's group of three noticed that the young man in embroidered clothes that sat nearby had flown out to arrive outside the arena. The young man in embroidered clothes turned around and looked provocatively at Duan Ling Tian's group of three before entering into the arena under the arrangement of the caged battle arena's workers. Whereas the old man that followed by the young man's side stood on the spot and didn't make any movement. He's a first-level void prying stage martial artist? Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. The age of this young man in embroidered clothes couldn't be considered to be old and was at most around the age of 30. Even in the entire Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, his natural talent could be considered to be first-rate, as he possessed a cultivation at the first level of the void prying stage at such an age. Sword Young Master, did you know that there was such a figure in the Imperial City? Luo Zhan frowned as he asked Chen Xiaoshuai. Luo Zhan was extremely displeased towards the attitude of the young man in embroidered clothes. A wisp of a smile of comprehension appeared on the corners of Chen Xiaoshuai's mouth. Luo Zhan, this person's relationship with the caged battle arena is deep. Obviously, Chen Xiaoshuai had recognized the young man in embroidered clothes. Deeply related to the caged battle arena? Luo Zhan frowned, yet was unable to guess it in the end, and he cursed. If you know, then speak frankly. What are you beating around the bush for? Alas, I originally wanted to tell you, but your current attitude caused me to not want to tell you. Chen Xiaoshuai pretended to sigh, and he had an expression that said, "What can you do to me?" This caused Luo Zhan to gnash his teeth with hatred. Duan Ling Tian's gaze descended into the arena. The body of the young man was currently suffused with a layer of origin energy, and his entire body seemed as if it was enveloped in a ball of white-colored flames. Whereas within these white-colored flames, there seemed to be strands of blue-colored energy leaping about. Water force. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. Although this young man was arrogant, needless to say, he still has some strength. Whoosh. In the sky above the young man was 2,200 ancient mammoth silhouettes that gradually condensed into form. First-level void prying stage. Elementary water force. Roar. The flame lion's eyes revealed slight fear when faced with the young man in embroidered clothes. Water counters fire. It just so happened that what it comprehended was elementary fire force. Die. Suddenly, the eyes of the young man in embroidered clothes went slightly cold as his figure flashed out extremely gently, like a pool of autumn water. Roar. The flame lion naturally wouldn't resign itself to death, and it abruptly pounced out as it opened its bloody mouth. Dense origin energy gushed out from his mouth, transforming into a beam of light that flashed out to fiercely smash towards the young man. It was precisely the elementary flame force. Futile effort. The young man shouted out explosively, and the embroidered clothes on his body fluttered without the wind. He raised his hand and formed a fist, and his origin energy skyrocketed. Bang! The young man punched out, his origin energy condensing into the shape of a fist before flashing out fiercely, and strands of blue-colored energy were suffused within it. Origin energy and force that was of little difference. Finally, the origin energy fist of the young man in embroidered clothes collided with the beam of light that gushed out from the bloody mouth of the flame lion, and the collision emitted an enormous bang. Whoosh! The airflow flashed out in the sky, and it seemed to transform into circle after circles of ripples that swept out. A wave of violent winds spread out from every direction. Roar! Suddenly, the flame lion cried out once again. But this roar was slightly low. The origin energy fist print of the young man instantly shattered the origin energy beam of light that gushed out from the flame lion's mouth, and the soft elementary water force extremely easily crushed the elementary fire force. Coupled with the origin energy of the young man that wasn't inferior to the flame lion. Bang! After the young man's origin energy fist shattered the beam of light, it didn't lose momentum in the slightest before crashing onto the flame lion's face. Howl! Instantly, the flame lion howled sorrowfully, and its body was blasted flying. The young man seized the opportunity to chase up, and his fish smashed down once more. The soft water force completely countered the flame lion. Not long after, the flame lion had its head smashed open by the young man's fist, and it was directly blasted to death. Instantly, the surrounding spectating area emitted waves of cheers that rose and fell. Some young women looked at the young man in embroidered clothes with gazes that were filled with burning desire, as if they wished for nothing more than to be swallowed up by the young man in embroidered clothes. Umph. He has slight strength. Chen Xiao Shui snorted coldly. He just had the advantage of the water force. Otherwise, he might not be a match for the flame lion. Luo Zhan snorted. No matter what, he won in the end. Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. Eh. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian noticed that when the young man went to receive the reward for killing the flame lion, the old man that presided over the caged battle arena had actually bent down before the young man. It was more like a bow of respect. Looks like this person's identity isn't simple, Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart. Meanwhile, the young man in embroidered clothes received the reward of a large stack of gold bills and had returned. At this moment, he looked at Duan Ling Tian's group of three with a haughty gaze. You're only a first-level void prying stage martial artist. What are you complacent about? Luo Zhan sneered and didn't conceal it in the slightest. What did you say? Luo Zhan's words were heard by the young man in embroidered clothes, and it caused his expression to go gloomy. Is there something wrong with your ears? Luo Zhan laughed in ridicule and wasn't polite in the slightest. Not to mention a young man whose background was unknown. Even if it was Flame Young Master, the third son of the current emperor, Luo Zhan didn't respect him in the slightest. As the grandson of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild's master, Luo Zhan had his own arrogance. You're courting death. The eyes of the young man in embroidered clothes went cold as he shouted out explosively, and his entire body flashed out to pounce towards Luo Zhan. Bang! The young man smashed out with his fist, and the origin energy fist condensed before whistling out like a descending meteor. In the sky, 2,200 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form and dashed out behind him. It's uncertain who dies. Luo Zhan sneered, and he even didn't have the intention of standing up. Whoosh! With a raise of his hand, he chopped out with his palm. An origin energy light blade condensed into form and whistles out, instantly chopping apart the young man's origin energy fist. When the origin energy fist of the young man in embroidered clothes was dispersed, wham! The origin energy light blade didn't lose momentum in the slightest and flashed directly towards the young man. Its target went straight for the young man's throat. Luo Zhan had launched a killing blow, whereas the young man was completely stunned when he saw the 3,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes that appeared out of thin air above Luo Zhan. Second-level void prying stage? It caused him to think that Luo Zhan was only a second-level void prying stage martial artist. He instead didn't know that Luo Zhan's strength was far more than this. When he recovered from his shock, he saw the origin energy light blade was a very short distance away, and his face went ghastly pale. Stay your hand. Right at this moment, the old man by the young man in embroidered clothes that didn't make a movement since the beginning had shouted out coldly. Accompanied by this cold shout, the old man swiftly flashed out. In the sky, an ancient horned dragon silhouettes that was clustered around by 2,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed out. Ninth level of the void prying stage. At the same time that the old man flashed out, his origin energy condensed with a raise of his hand, and a palm print that was condensed into form whistled out. Bang! Before the origin energy light blade killed the young man, it shattered the origin energy light blade in a timely manner. The young man in embroidered clothes heaved a sigh of relief when he got his life back. When he returned to his senses, his face went grim and he glared angrily at Luo Zhan. Elder Ping, I want him dead. Obviously, he was speaking to the old man. Duan Ling Tian frowned. Little Gold, if this old goat dares act rashly, kill him. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian's voice transmission entered into the little gold mouse's ears, and it was filled with coldness. Squeak, squeak. The originally dispirited little gold mouse instantly became excited when she heard Duan Ling Tian's voice transmission. She stood up and stared at the old man beside the young man with excitement. She had already started to accumulate force. So long as the old man made a move, she would kill the old man. Duan Ling Tian wasn't worried in the slightest if Little Gold was able to kill the old man or not. After all, when Little Gold was only at the 7th level of the void prying stage, Her strength was sufficient to defeat an ordinary 9th-level void-prying stage martial artist by relying on her grade 4 spirit sword and advanced lightning force. Presently, Little Gold was already an 8th-level void-prying stage demon beast, and killing a 9th-level void-prying stage martial artist wasn't difficult. Squeak, squeak. Little Gold glared at the old man as she bared her fangs and brandished her claws in provocation. But unfortunately, the old man didn't look at her. "Who are you?" The old man looked at Luo Zhan and asked in a low voice. "Looks like some people of your Prince Sheng's estate are really oblivious of the happenings in the outside world. You don't even recognize the crazy young master, Luo Zhan? Truly laughable." Luo Zhan hadn't even spoken when the nearby Qin Xiao Shui couldn't help but laugh. "Crazy young master, Luo Zhan." As soon as Qin Xiao Shui finished speaking, the old man went pale and his eyes revealed deep fear. So it's crazy young master. Now he felt slightly fortunate. Fortunate that he didn't act rashly earlier and attack this young man before him. Otherwise, if anything were to happen to this young man before him, he would die for sure. Crazy young master, Luo Zhan, the person that was ranked at the top of the 5 great young masters. Although he'd never seen crazy young master in the flesh, even if he'd been following the little prince to travel around for many years, the reputation of crazy young master was still like thunder that reverberated by his ears. Supposedly, this crazy young master's background was even more shocking than his natural talent. He was the grandson of the guild master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild's main guild. The Weapons Craftsman Guild had always been an extremely aloof existence. And even if it was the Emperor of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom that met the Guild Master of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's Weapons Craftsman Guild's main guild, the Emperor would still need to be reverent and respectful, let alone himself who was only a member of the prince's estate. So it's crazy young master. This old man has been impolite. This is my little prince. I hope that you can tolerate any rudeness. The old man took a deep breath and cupped his hands towards Luo Zhan as he admitted his mistakes. As expected, Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. Earlier, when the young man in embroidered clothes received his rewards, Duan Ling Tian had noticed that the old man that presided over the caged battle arena was extremely respectful towards the young man. At that time, he had his suspicions. When Luo Zhan attacked the young man, and when the old man by the young man's side shouted out, Duan Ling Tian noticed that face of the old man that presided over the caged battle arena became grim. Obviously, he was worried for the young man in embroidered clothes. At that time, he'd practically confirmed that the young man was a member of Prince Sheng's estate. After all, the caged battle arena belonged to Prince Sheng's estate, and the members of the caged battle arena were members of Prince Sheng's estate. Little Prince. The old man looked at the young man and gave him a look. Obviously, he wanted to make the young man apologize. Unexpectedly, the young man looked at Luo Zhan and ridiculed. "You're the one that's ranked at the top of the 5 great young masters that are publicly acknowledged by our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom? You're nothing great. You're only at the 2nd level of the void prying stage at such an age. So what if it's the 2nd level of the void prying stage? It's fine as long as I can crush you." Luo Zhan sneered, and he didn't reveal his true strength at the 4th level of the void prying stage to make the young man completely shut his mouth. Perhaps, as far as he was concerned, there was utterly no need. He didn't take this young man in embroidered clothes seriously. The little prince of Prince Sheng's estate, Prince Sheng's son? To him, that was no different than an ordinary person. "You?" The young man was greatly enraged, and he wanted to continue mocking Luo Zhan, yet was restrained by the old man by his side. "Little prince, if the prince finds out that you had such a huge conflict with crazy young master, I'm afraid he'll be extremely angry." The young man, which was the little prince of Prince Sheng's estate, went pale when he heard the old man, and his pupils constricted. It was as if his imperial father, Prince Sheng, was a dreadful monster in his eyes. He glared fiercely at Luo Zhan before returning to his seat. "Sword young master, you discerned his identity a long time ago?" Luo Zhan looked at Qin Xiao Shui as he asked. "Yes." Qin Xiao Shui nodded. "When he sat down there, I noticed that the members of the caged battle arena actually didn't collect the fees for the seat from him. At that time, I felt it to be slightly strange. Later on, I saw that he was slightly similar in appearance to Prince Shang between his brows, and I recalled that Prince Shang had a son who was gaining experience and tempering outside year in and year out. So I had a guess. Chen Xiao Shui spoke slowly. You're good at guessing. Luo Zhan shook his head and smiled, and his eyes contained slight disdain mixed within. I heard long ago that the son of Prince Shang that was far away had a pretty good natural talent. Now that I've seen him today, he's nothing great. His natural talent is indeed able to be considered as pretty good. Of course, if you compare him to us, then he's naturally greatly inferior. Sword Young Master said with a smile. Duan Ling Tian. That kid is the illegitimate child of the owner of the caged battle arena, Prince Shun, and his name is Zhang Hong. Sword Young Master said to Duan Ling Tian. Zhang Hong. Duan Ling Tian nodded. The matter between Luo Zhan and Zhang Hong was only a farce, and it only caused a stir in the surrounding spectating area that quickly quieted down. The gazes of everyone had once again descended to the caged battle arena. The battles within the caged battle arena were still continuing. Meanwhile, another nascent soul stage slave and demon beast entered the arena. The entire caged battle seemed to have no regular pattern. Roar! A wave of enraged roars that were shocking sounded out. The old man that presided over the caged battle arena had his leg on an enormous beast the size of a small mountain as they stepped into the arena. Everywhere the enormous beast passed, the arena and the surrounding spectating arena experienced a wave of shaking as if the ground was quaking. Earth bear. It's an earth bear. Instantly, many spectators in the spectating area couldn't refrain from crying out in sharp voices. Earth bear. Duan Ling Tian's gaze couldn't help but descend onto the enormous beast. This enormous beast had a figure that was enormous like a mountain. The earlier flame lion was simply like a child when compared to it. This enormous beast was a bear-type demon beast. But compared to ordinary bears, it was much more savage and terrifying. Its pair of crimson-red eyes seemed to resent everything. That pair of sharp fangs even seemed as if they could pierce through everything. On its four bare paws, its sharp claws flickered with a frightful cold light. Earth Beast, a void-prying stage demon beast. A mature Earth Bear had a strength that was at least at the 4th level of the void-prying stage, and a stronger Earth Bear was at the 5th or 6th level of the void-prying stage. In Duan Ling Tian's mind, the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor flashed by, and he'd found the record related to the void-prying stage demon beast, Earth Bear. The Earth Bear was an extremely terrifying demon beast. Supposedly, the Earth Bear has a special comprehension of Earth Force that's similar to the Flame Lion's comprehension of Fire Force. In the comprehension of Force, no matter if it was the Flame Lion or Earth Bear, they were both outstanding amongst demon beasts. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart. Roar! When the Earth Bear arrived within the arena and saw the gazes from the surroundings descending onto it, it went completely berserk. On the surface of its body, milky white origin energy skyrocketed. Suffused within the milky white origin energy was strands of earth and yellow energy. Presently, accompanying the Earth Bear's movements, the shaking of the ground became slightly more intense, and the seats where Duan Ling Tian's group sat was even shaken to the point it started to sway. Whereas in the sky above the Earth Bear, 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared out of thin air. 4th level void prying stage demon beast. Half-step advanced earth force. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian confirmed the strength of the Earth Bear. Crazy young master, are you confident? Chen Xiao Shui looked at Luo Zhan and asked with a smile. Luo Zhan had a serious expression as he shook his head, and then, as if he recalled something, a wisp of a smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. I remember Duan Ling Tian said that 4th level void prying stage demon beasts were his. Luo Zhan looked at Duan Ling Tian with an expression of anticipation. Duan Ling Tian sized up the Earth Bear with interest. Presently, the old man that presided over the caged battle arena seemed to be helpless against the Earth Bear and allowed it to be restless. He didn't dare strike a heavy blow onto the Earth Bear, as it still had to earn money for the caged battle arena. If the Earth Bear were to be injured by him, then another would surely gain an unfair advantage against it in the subsequent cage battle. Guests, this is a 4th level void prying stage demon beast, Earth Bear. If any 4th level void prying stage guest is interested, feel free to enter the arena and battle the Earth Bear. The old man's voice sounded out clearly. Not only is this Earth Bear at the 4th level of the void prying stage, it had even comprehended half-step advanced Earth Force. It's extremely difficult for a 4th level void prying stage martial artist to kill it without relying on any external source of strength. Yeah, if a 4th level void prying stage martial artist encountered this Earth Bear, then the chances of surviving was near to zero. I'm afraid no one would dare enter the arena. Many people discussed animatedly. If no one enters the arena, then will the caged battle arena send out a 4th level void prying stage slave to have a cage battle with this Earth Bear? Duan Ling Tian asked Luo Zhan and Chun Xiaoshui curiously. Impossible. Luo Zhan shook his head. You're hoping for too much. Once a demon beast or slave at the 1st level of the void prying stage and above enters into the arena and isn't challenged by someone, they would directly leave the arena. Then, a nascent soul stage slave and demon beast would enter the arena instead. Chen Xiaoshui nodded as well. Exactly. No matter if it was a slave or demon beast, existences at the void prying stage and above were an enormous wealth to the caged battle arena. The caged battle arena would usually not allow a slave and demon beast at the 1st level of the void prying stage or above to fight and kill each other. Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden understanding. Just like now, if no 4th level void prying stage challenges the Earth Bear would be taken out of the arena by members of the caged battle arena. And they wouldn't find a 4th level void prying stage slave to enter the arena and lose his life. Luo Zhan added. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Duan Ling Tian, unless you hold back your strength and want to take a beating. Otherwise, it isn't difficult for you to kill this Earth Bear. Chen Xiaoshui said with a smile. Luo Zhan nodded with deep agreement, as he was extremely clear of Duan Ling Tian's strength. Not to mention his cultivation at the 4th level of the void prying stage, Duan Ling Tian had even comprehended 2 types of half-step advanced force. An ordinary 4th level void prying stage martial artist or demon beast being able to comprehend 1 type of half-step advanced force was already considered to be possessing shocking comprehension. But Duan Ling Tian instead had directly comprehended 2 types. His comprehension could be called monstrous. There's no rush. Let's first see what reward the person that kills the Earth Bear is able to obtain from the caged battle arena. Duan Ling Tian smiled lightly, and his gaze descended onto the old man in the arena. Meanwhile, the old man raised his hand, and a drop of fiery red liquid appeared in his hand. The fiery red liquid flickered with a fine light, and it seemed especially dazzling like a crimson star in the night sky. If a 4th level void prying stage guest is able to kill this Earth Bear, then the guest will be able to obtain this drop of mysterious blood. The old man's voice slowly sounded out. Mysterious blood? The old man's words aroused the interest of the group of spectators. What is this mysterious blood? What use does it have? Instantly, many spectators asked in loud voices. Good question, the old man said with a smile. This drop of mysterious blood was obtained by Prince Sheng many years ago by chance. This drop of mysterious blood is something that even a grade 5 alchemist's pill fire was completely helpless against it. As soon as the old man finished speaking, hiss, 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 hiss. The sounds of gasping rose and fell endlessly in the surroundings of the arena. Even the pill fire of a grade 5 alchemist was helpless against the mere drop of blood? Is it really true? Many spectators spoke out in doubt. After all, the pill fire of a grade 5 alchemist was almost able to melt everything they knew of. That was a grade 5 pill fire. Unless it was a rare material of legend. Otherwise, there were very little things that a grade 5 pill fire was unable to melt. Even if everyone doesn't believe our caged battle arena, you ought to believe Prince Sheng's estate, right? The old man smiled lightly as he continued. Not only is a grade 5 alchemist grade 5 pill fire unable to do anything to this drop of mysterious blood, even if it's a void initiation stage inscription master, the inscription master's spiritual force was dispersed before it could even come near to the mysterious blood. The old man's words caused the spectating area to become deathly silent. Exactly what demon beast's blood is this? It's actually so peculiar. Many people couldn't help but sigh with emotion. They naturally wouldn't think that this was the blood of a human. What a joke. It was practically impossible for a human's blood to be so abnormal. Our Prince Shung's estate has studied this drop of mysterious blood for many years and have paid an extremely great price for it. However, we gained nothing in the end. So, today, our Prince Shung's estate has taken it out to be the reward for the 4th level void prying stage guest that kills the Earth Bear. The old man said with a sonorous voice, "No matter who it is, so long as you kill the Earth Bear, you'll be able to obtain this drop of mysterious blood." I presume everyone already knows very well in their heart about how extraordinary this mysterious blood is. If anyone is able to unearth its secrets, perhaps that person will be able to soar into the sky with a single leap. Needless to say, the old man's words were extremely infectious. For a time, many 4th level void prying stage martial artists were eager to enter the arena. But when they thought of how the Earth Bear had comprehended half-step advanced Earth Force, they had an extra sense of hesitation. When faced with an Earth Bear that had comprehended half-step advanced Earth Force, even if it was a 4th level void prying stage martial artist that had similarly comprehended half-step advanced force, if the martial artist didn't rely on the assistance of external sources of strength, the martial artist wouldn't dare battle it. The Earth Force was a type of force of nature. Once one stood on the ground and executed it, one would be able to draw support from the energy of the earth and would be able to increase one's strength by a certain amount. Roar! Right at this moment, the Earth Bear emitted an enormous roar once again. The earth started shaking once again. This time, ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form once again above the Earth Bear's head. But it wasn't 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes this time, but instead was 6,800 ancient mammoth silhouettes. The strength of a 4th level void prying stage demon beast was comparable to the strength of 6,000 ancient mammoths. The half-step advanced Earth Force was comparable to the strength of 500 ancient mammoths. As for the extra strength of 300 ancient mammoths that the Earth Bear possessed, it was instead an amplification of strength from drawing support from the energy of the Earth. The Earth Force was able to fuse into one with the Earth and draw support from the energy of the Earth. As for how much energy the Earth Force was able to draw support from the Earth, it would depend on the level of comprehension of Earth Force. At this moment, when they saw the Earth Bear demonstrate its might with their own 2 eyes, and it drew upon the energy of heaven and earth to develop 6,800 ancient mammoth silhouettes. The 4th level void prying stage martial artists that were eager to enter the arena were completely terrified. Those that stood up had sat back down, and those that were just intending to stand up moved their butts back. All of them broke out with slight cold sweat. The Earth Bear, too terrifying. Unless it's a 4th level void prying stage martial artist that has comprehended advanced force. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to defeat the Earth Bear. Many spectators sighed with emotion. All of them felt that this round of cage battle would probably come to nothing. I heard long ago, when one stands on the ground and executes Earth Force, one can draw support from the energy of the Earth. Today, I can be considered to have experienced it. Chun Xiao Shui sighed with emotion. If it's a space without restrictions, then so long as one soars up into the sky, one would be completely capable of moving away from the ground and causing the human martial artist or demon beast that has comprehended Earth Force to be unable to draw support from the energy of the Earth. But the cage battle arena is restricted by that enormous iron cage, and one completely has no way of avoiding the area of attack of the Earth Bear that stood on the ground. Luo Zhan took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with fear. It was precisely because he'd thought of this since long ago that he didn't have the courage to battle the Earth Bear. Duan Ling Tian. In next to no time, Luo Zhan and Chun Xiao Shui looked at Duan Ling Tian, as they wanted to know Duan Ling Tian's intentions. But they quickly noticed that since an unknown time, Duan Ling Tian sat there with a dazed expression, and he looked at the old man that presided over the caged battle arena with a blank gaze. Precisely speaking, he was looking at the drop of fiery red-colored mysterious blood in the old man's hand. Scarlet Phoenix blood. It's the blood of a scarlet phoenix. It was like a tempestuous storm had arisen in the heart of Duan Ling Tian, who had a dazed expression. Heavens! What have I seen? I've actually seen the blood of a scarlet phoenix here. The scarlet phoenix was an extremely formidable demon beast. In terms of natural talent, it even surpassed the jade-eyed heavenly mouse slightly. There was a rumor in Cloud Continent. The scarlet phoenix was the descendants of phoenixes, whereas phoenixes were divine beasts. They were existences that were on par with true dragons, and their strengths were exceedingly formidable. Of course, no matter if it was the phoenix or the dragon that was equally famous, they were both existences of legend. At least, an existence like this hadn't appeared in Cloud Continent. Even if it was the so-called dragon that occasionally appeared, it was only a fellow that was half a WIRM and half a dragon, and it wasn't a true dragon. Furthermore, even if it was these fellows that were half dragon and half WIRM, their strengths were extremely terrifying, and this was only because the blood of a dragon flowed within them. Just like the scarlet phoenix, the blood of the phoenix flowed within it. According to the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, he's once obtained an ancient medicinal formula during his first lifetime, and at the side of that medicinal formula was a bottle that was refined from unknown materials. Within that bottle was a drop of scarlet phoenix blood. Duan Ling Tian's mood surged. Whereas that medicinal formula recorded a medicinal pill that is refined by using the blood of the scarlet phoenix as a medicinal catalyst. The medicinal pill is called the Rebirth Pill. Rebirth Pill. Resurrection had always been the special ability of the phoenix of legend. Whereas using the blood of the scarlet phoenix, which has the blood of the phoenix flowing within it as the medicinal catalyst, the Rebirth Pill was instead able to be refined. Of course, the Rebirth Pill wasn't able to actually allow one to be resurrected. The place the Rebirth Martial Emperor obtained the medicinal formula for the Rebirth Pill and the Scarlet Phoenix blood all those years was a mysterious ruins. The three lives rebirth technique the Rebirth Martial Emperor cultivated came from that ruins as well. Duan Ling Tian swiftly searched through the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, and he found out about many things. Even if it was the Rebirth Martial Emperor who had experienced 2 lifetimes and was at his prime, he was still unable to discern who left that ruins behind. Unknowingly, Duan Ling Tian had returned to his senses. Scarlet Phoenix blood. Burning flames silently blazed deep within Duan Ling Tian's gaze. Is there any guest that wants to undergo a cage battle with this earth bear? The old man within the cage battle arena spoke out to confirm once more. Half-step advanced earth force and drawing support from the energy of the earth? The strength of 6,800 ancient mammoths? Slightly interesting. Duan Ling Tian calmed his feelings that were surging because of the scarlet phoenix blood, and the corners of his mouth curled into a meaningful arc. Whoosh. In the next moment, Duan Ling Tian left his seat and seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning that shot towards the enormous iron cage that enveloped the entire arena. In the sky, 6,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. Squeak, squeak. The little gold mouse stayed at the seat and looked excitedly at Duan Ling Tian, who dashed towards the arena, and it was as if she was cheering for Duan Ling Tian. Fourth level void prying stage. The face of Prince Sheng's estate's little prince, Zhang Heng, who sat nearby with feelings of indignant resentment, became extremely unsightly. Never had he imagined that the young man that was ridiculed by him earlier actually possessed such a terrifying strength. Most importantly, this young man's age was obviously younger than him by a few years. His age looks to be around 25, yet his cultivation is at the 4th level of the void prying stage. Exactly who is he? The crowd of spectators nearby the spectating area Duan Ling Tian sat at were all curious. He came with crazy young master. Could it be that he's a member of the Dragon and Phoenix Academy? Amongst the genius students in the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, it seems that only the genius disciple of the former 7-star sword sect, Duan Ling Tian, conforms to these conditions. Could it be that he's Duan Ling Tian? It's possible. Besides Duan Ling Tian, our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom doesn't have any other monstrous genius like this. In next to no time, the spectators guessed Duan Ling Tian's identity from their discussions. Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian. Along with the passage of time, practically all the few tens of thousands of spectators in the entire caged battle arena knew that the young man that entered the arena now was Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, the genius disciple of the former Seven-Star Sword sect. A few years ago, he'd once defeated Saber Young Master and Zither Young Master, causing his name to shake the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Later on, the Seven-Star Sword sect was annihilated and Duan Ling Tian had entered the Dragon and Phoenix Academy, and he revealed a natural talent and comprehension ability that was even more monstrous than the rumors said. Since that time, Duan Ling Tian seemed to have become a legend of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Now Duan Ling Tian wanted to enter the arena and battle the Earth Bear? For a time, their hearts were filled with anticipation. He's that Duan Ling Tian. Zhang Heng's face sank. Although he was wandering about outside of the city for many years and had only returned lately, Duan Ling Tian's name was like thunder reverberating in his ears. Duan Ling Tian, a peerless and monstrous genius that had suddenly risen to prominence a few years ago. After he rose, he seemed to press down the limelight of the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. He was called the unprecedented genius martial artist of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The expression of the old man that stood behind Zhang Heng became serious. From the beginning until the end, Duan Ling Tian had a calm expression as he watched this whirlwind. In the next moment, Duan Ling Tian's figure moved, seeming to have transformed into a gale that flashed into the arena. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian stood in midair and looked calmly at the earth bear that was beneath the old man's leg. Roar! The earth bear seemed to know why Duan Ling Tian had come, and its scarlet red eyes revealed icy coldness. Not only that, bang, 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 bang. The earth bear continued to struggle beneath the old man's feet, and the origin energy and half-step advanced earth force shot out from its body, causing the ground of the entire caged battle arena to quake. Duan Ling Tian, the old man that was in charge of presiding over the caged battle arena, looked at Duan Ling Tian with a gaze that revealed slight surprise. The peerless genius of the former Seven-Star Sword sect has a well-deserved reputation, as expected. But are you sure you want to undergo a caged battle with the Earth Bear? After all, with your natural talent and strength, it isn't difficult for you to win one of the 5 places to head to the Darkstone Empire in the Genius competition half a month from now. If I was you, I'd surely not take the risk. The old man spoke word by word. His words seemed to have the intention of persuading Duan Ling Tian. Thank you for your concern, senior, but I've already decided. Duan Ling Tian smiled lightly and was neither arrogant nor humble. Very good. The old man nodded. Since you've decided, then if I say anything further, it would seem to be slightly annoying. Get ready. I'll leave this earth bear after the time of 10 breaths. At that time, between you and the earth bear, only one of you can survive. Duan Ling Tian nodded. The time of 10 breaths wasn't long. However, at this moment, the crowd of spectators in the spectating area had all held their breaths. After a short moment, they once again went into an uproar. Duan Ling Tian is too rash. Yeah, his future is limitless. There's no need to enter the caged battle arena and take a risk. Although I heard long ago that he'd comprehended 2 half-step advanced forces, he'd only be stronger by the strength of 200 ancient mammoths when compared with the earth bear that has drawn support from the energy of the earth. Not only can the earth bear draw support from the energy of the earth, it even possesses extremely tough fur and skin. If it's combined with earth force and the energy of the earth, it can form an extremely terrifying defense. I hope he can kill the earth bear and escape this calamity. Otherwise, our Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom will lose an important genius. The hearts of many spectators were at their throats for Duan Ling Tian. As far as they were concerned, Duan Ling Tian's situation was extremely bad. Overestimating your abilities. Zhang Heng laughed in ridicule, and his eyes contained a slight mocking expression mixed within. Daring to enter the arena and undergo a caged battle with the earth bear is simply courting death. No matter if he's courting death or not, it's much better than some people. Some people might even not have the courage to enter the arena and not have the courage to battle the earth bear. Chen Xiao Shui spoke indifferently as he ridiculed in return. His words were utterly blunt. Similar to Luo Zhan, he didn't take Zhang Heng seriously in the slightest. What did you say? Zhang Heng's face was gloomy, and the origin energy on his body surged as if he wanted to launch an attack towards Chen Xiaoshui. Whereas Chen Xiaoshui wasn't worried in the slightest, and he had a calm expression. His eyes flickered with a fierce sheen, and they were like swords that would shoot out at his call. Little Prince. Zhang Heng was just intending to leave his seat when he was stopped by the old man behind him. Elder Ping, what are you doing? Zhang Heng had an extremely unsightly expression as he asked with a low voice. The old man didn't pay attention to Zhang Heng and instead looked at Chen Xiaoshui with a burning gaze. If I'm not wrong, you ought to be sword young master, right? Chen Xiaoshui's eyes that were like swords swept past the old man as he said indifferently, "The member of Prince Sheng's estate aren't simple as expected." At this moment, Chen Xiaoshui had undoubtedly admitted his own identity. Sword young master? When Zhang Heng heard the old man's words, his expression went pale. Now when he heard Chen Xiaoshui confirm it, he felt his back become chilly. He felt a wave of powerlessness and humiliation in his heart. These three fellows that he looked down upon earlier had actually caused terror to arise from his heart now. This feeling caused him to feel extremely uncomfortable. 10 breaths of time is up. Right at this moment, a sonorous voice sounded out from the arena. Subsequently, the spectators present were able to see clearly that the old man who stood on the back of the earth bear and intentionally restrained the earth bear has risen up into the sky. Roar! After the old man left, the earth bear roared explosively as it regained its freedom, and its pair of scarlet red and fierce eyes stared fixedly at Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian stood in the sky with a calm expression. Bang! Finally, the earth bear moved. Its enormous body abruptly strode forward, and its four thick and solid bare paws fiercely descended onto the ground. Rumble! A wave of quaking shook the ground. Whoosh! One of the earth bear's paws suddenly raised up, and origin energy condensed and half-step advanced earth force suffused on its sharp claws. In the sky, 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form and accumulated strength while waiting to be deployed. Swish! Instantly, accompanied with the earth bear's claw flashing out, the vast and boundless origin energy immediately transformed into a material claw mark that flashed directly towards Duan Ling Tian. It seemed as if it wanted to tear Duan Ling Tian into pieces. Duan Ling Tian gazed at the scene before him with a calm gaze, and he had no intention of dodging. Suddenly, Duan Ling Tian made a move. Tempest Point. With a raise of his hand, Duan Ling Tian pointed out. Swish! The point force condensed into form by origin energy was accompanied by half-step advanced lightning force and half-step advanced wind force as it swept out. In the sky, 7,000 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form. The Tempest Point's point force was like a falling meteor as it descended towards the origin energy claw mark. Bang! The Tempest Point's point force easily shattered the origin energy claw mark and didn't lose momentum in the slightest as it descended and crashed onto the earth bear. Roar! Practically at the instant the Tempest Point's point force shattered the origin energy claw mark, a layer of material origin energy light barrier had appeared on the surface of the earth bear's body. Not only that, half-step advanced earth force followed like a shadow on the origin energy light barrier. Besides that, the earth bear had also drawn support from the energy of the earth. In the sky above the earth bear, another 300 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the existing 6,500 ancient mammoth silhouettes. It was precisely the strength the energy of the earth had bestowed upon the earth bear. Bang! The Tempest Point blasted onto the earth bear, and at the same time that it shattered the origin energy light barrier on the surface of the earth bear's body, the point force dispersed along with it. The earth bear's body only shook, yet wasn't injured in the slightest. What a formidable defense! Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. The exchange of moves between Duan Ling Tian and the earth bear had only occurred in the blink of an eye. However, merely a collision of a single move had lifted the atmosphere of the scene. Today, at this moment, the atmosphere in the cage battle arena had almost arrived at the peak. Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian. Many spectators cried out sharply with Duan Ling Tian's name. Of course, everyone had different thoughts. Duan Ling Tian is actually like the rumors say and has comprehended two types of half-step advanced force. Zhang Heng's expression was unsightly to the extreme, and strands of flames of jealousy leaped about deep within his eyes. He's so many years younger than me, but on what basis does he have such high comprehension ability? Zhang Heng's feelings were slightly warped, and he was extremely not resigned. He felt his natural talent and comprehension ability was already not bad, and it even wasn't much inferior to those 5 great young masters. However, before Duan Ling Tian, he instead seemed to be ordinary to the extreme. He felt it was difficult to accept all this.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.